In this video, I'm going to teach you the correct way to put your air filter into your HVAC system at home each and every time. Recently, there have been a number of homeowners that have outright destroyed their heating systems by putting the filter in incorrectly. So stick around and I will share the exact stories of what happened and why you do not want to do this wrong. With HVAC systems, air is always moving. That's pretty basic, right? As the air is sucked into your main system and heated or cooled, that side is known as the return side. Once it's conditioned and moved back to the rooms, that side of your system is called the supply side. The arrow on your air cleaner is always going to be pointed towards your heating or cooling system, and that filter will always be located on the return side, the suction side into your system. And it's even more confusing because the filter looks identical on both sides. And the big surprise is this filter is identical on both sides. Then why does the direction matter at all? It's actually got two reasons that you may never have noticed. Some air cleaners on the market have different components, meaning you might have filter fabric at the beginning, then you've got some carbon to remove odors. In this case, direction is important because you want to pre-filter the air with this white fabric. Then the air moves into the carbon section of the filter where it can remove things like smoke or fumes. But most people are not getting multi-part filters like this. Then why do you still need to worry about the arrow? Unfortunately, many people don't. They just put the filter in any way they want and figure it's no big deal. And it may work okay for a while, but there is one huge thing that you've probably missed. As we flip this filter over, there is a difference. The filter fabric is the same throughout, but you've got this grid on the filter. This grid is a safety feature. If your filter fabric gets damaged or it even breaks apart and flies out, without this grid, that fabric will get sucked up into your system and go directly into your system's motor, causing the motor either burn out, overheat, and in one homeowner's case, their system has what's called an ECM motor. That's a fancy motor that can adjust its speed, and this filter went right into the motor, causing a repair that was almost $2,000. Without that grid, this can happen to anyone. Once we get my air cleaner out, we can take a look upward, and that silver wheel you're looking at right here is my blower motor. So by having that grid in place, if my filter fabric tears or breaks off, it will get stuck in the grid and hopefully prevent it from ever reaching that blower motor. When you're up in your attic or in your basement, it's not always easy to tell which is the return or the supply side. Start by looking in your house. You are going to have different vents. The vents inside places like your bedrooms or your individual rooms are going to be the supply vent. That is where the air is blowing out. These larger vents that you're going to have on your floor or in your ceiling, probably in a central location, that is your return side. Now that you've identified your return and your supply vents in your house, let's go to your attic or your basement and look at the main system. Now my system is mounted vertically. Yours could be lying down, which is very common, but figuring this out will be the same. Start by thinking of where that return vent was in your house. Then track where that is coming into your main system. As we look at mine here, the ductwork is going right up on the ceiling, and at the end of this line is where my return grill is in my living room. We've now identified the way that the air is returning into the system, getting heated or cooled, and my motor is right here in the center. So when we're putting my air cleaner in, I want the arrow pointing from the return side right towards my motor, and this will orient it correctly and make sure that my grid is also in the correct position. Once you've got this figured out, take a couple of seconds, grab a Sharpie, do something to mark the airflow. Put an arrow right on the portion of your system where you're going to install your filter. One thing to be aware of, not all filters are exactly like this. Here is one from 3M. It's using this kind of heavy-duty mesh that is permanently attached to the filter, but it's not on the side you would expect. Now I don't know what the reasoning for this one is, but 3M generally makes some pretty good stuff, and this mesh appears to be attached to every part of the filter. Now my guess is this is probably a lot stronger than just simply putting that cardboard on the opposite side. You always want to reference the arrow on the filter, because in this case, if you just looked at the grid, you may have inserted it wrong. If you use the arrow and install your filter correctly every single time, you should never have to worry about any type of repair job, from the filter ripping itself apart and getting jammed inside your motor, causing you a repair that no one wants to deal with. And if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to the Silver Symbol channel for more videos coming up.